Hey everyone, Angelo here. Welcome to another design tutorial. Today I'm going to take you through some steps on how to design a corporate brochure. We're going to go over a two-page layout, much like you see here on my screen. We're going to start with the left-hand side page. I'm going to show you how to create this circular image and how to add kind of a blending mode on top, work with some typography, and then the second part of this tutorial we'll focus on how to make these custom graphs in Adobe Illustrator and bringing them over to your InDesign layout. Okay, so let's get started. So here's my layout for my corporate brochure. We're going to start with this page here, the left side page. This is all information that I've come up with on my own. So actually, if you're interested, DM me on Facebook or any other social media, and I can get you the content on this if you want to try it yourself. The document size for this, if I go to File and Document Setup, is just A5 document, landscape, facing pages, no bleed, no slug. Don't worry about that stuff, okay? So I'm going to hit OK, and let's get started, okay? Put my guides on here. As you can see, I did set up guides, and in this case I actually went to my master pages to set up the guides. So in previous tutorials, when I've been setting up guides, I've just been doing them on single back-to-back pages. A good way of getting around that is just going to your master page and then create your guides from there, and it will take effect on all the pages inside your document. Okay, so I do have layers again that I'm working off of. Layer 1, which I haven't renamed, is the background. Okay, so let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do here is create a background, and I did create a swatch for this, which isn't, let's see here, just snap that. Make sure I'm working on that layer, edit, paste in place. Let's go to my swatches, and I've just created a swatch here called white, and I think it's if I double click that, yeah, there's some cyan and a little bit of black there, so it's not completely white. So there it is there. Oops, Control Z. Okay, Shift X. Okay, perfect. So that's white now. What I'm gonna do for now is just lock that. Go to my layers, lock it. First thing I want to do now is let's create this. Let's bring in this image of Detroit. So this company that I've created, again, it's just fictional. Based in Detroit, Michigan, Motor City Financial Group was launched in 1999. So it's just some information, some background info that I've just made up. Okay, so these are typical things that you would see in a corporate brochure. So by all means, just come up with this stuff by yourself and play around and add it to your portfolio when you're done. So how do I add this circular image? Click and hold on your rectangle frame tool and grab the ellipse frame tool. Hold down Shift while you're drawing this out to keep the constrained proportions on that. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring it over here roughly for now, make it a little bit bigger. So I can just drag and drop my image in there, or you can go up to File, Place, or Control Command D. Corporate brochure, brochure content, and there's the image that I've saved from Adobe stock. Remember, if an image comes in way too big, Shift Command Option C to make it fit to that frame that you've created. You can also right click, fitting, fill frame proportionally. So as you can see there, I've already created the image. And what's cool about this, and I didn't realize this until afterwards, oftentimes I'll design something and then looking back, I've done something not intentionally, but I don't really say that because maybe, you know, who knows, maybe I was trying to go for this effect. But because this is based out of Detroit, I kind of got a cool D if you look at how it bleeds off the page there, okay? So Detroit with a sky, you know, the buildings and whatnot. So my image is a little bit fuzzy there. So to get around that, go up to View, Display Performance, High Quality Display. Okay, that should make your image nice and crisp. If you notice up here, my image has a little bit of a blue tint to it. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna click that, Control C, and then Control V. Just makes another copy. And I'm just gonna delete the image from there, put my guides back on. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this second version, maybe a Pantone blue here, and just line it up with your original image. Go up to Effects and play around with your blending modes. Multiply, overlay, that's a little extreme. I do like multiply. And then scale down the opacity so it's not as intense. Okay, so you got that effect there. I think I added a stroke on one of these boxes, as you can see up here, just as an added effect. So I could do that. Maybe grab the one in the back, my original photo, and then go to swatches, and then give that that same Pantone blue, and then just crank up the stroke weight, as you can see there. Okay, and conversely, I could just make another copy of that if I wanted to, make it another color, but let's just leave it like that for now. Put my guides back on. I'm gonna copy this stuff over. Go to my layers, make sure I'm working on type, and let's just go up to edit, paste in place for now. And then what I can do is just adjust this. I can even make it a little bit smaller. It is quite large, maybe. Well, let's see if I just move it to the side here. Yeah, that's good. So again, there's my background information. I've got some my headline here. One thing I do want to note that I've created here are character styles. So if I do create a box here and I type in company history, I'm going to highlight that, go to character styles, and I've created a headline here, Butler Black header. If I click that, and that I've saved it as a 24-point headline. Okay, so that would go into your character styles, and whenever you wanted to use that as a headline, you wouldn't have to do everything manually. It'd be saved in there. Okay, all right, let's go to the second page here. Actually, I do have some other type that I'll add there, and MCF for Motor City Financial as a shortcut. Okay, so let's assume that page is done. All right, and I'll put my guides back on. It's pretty close to what I had up there. Now I could go back and revisit that and touch things up, but I'm showing you just as a quick method on how to do things like this. Just going back to the style sheets for a sec for character style. I also created a body text here that you see there. If I ever wanted to edit any of my character styles, just double click on it, go to basic character formats. You can change the typeface, the weight, and the point size, okay? And then you can actually rename it as well, but in this case I just kept it body text. And this is Gotham Book 10 point. All right, let's go to our second page. Okay, so this is where I'm going to show you how to add the background here, and then we'll get into how to add these graphics or graphs and charts in Illustrator, and then move them over to your InDesign project. So I'm going to go back to my, background layer, unlock that. And in this case, I'm just going to copy this one, Control Command C, click on the second page, Shift Option Command V, and I'm going to make that, I think I created a specific there, maybe that one there. There we go. Let's try that again. Command C, go to the second page, Shift Option Command V. Oh, it's not copying over. Okay, just do that. Okay, let's try that now. I just want to make it this. There we go. That's what I wanted. Okay. So if this was a brand identity design, and these were the brand colors, this is a specific blue that the brand would use, then I would save it into my swatches and then load these swatches whenever I was going to design anything for this Motor City Financial. While I'm still in my I'm still in the background layer, I'm gonna go to my content here again, and I'm just going to let's do this. Hang on. Let's go to here. I've got a background pattern here that I want to add. I'm just gonna get rid of this stuff here. I'm gonna click that, and I'm just gonna make it white for now. I'm in Illustrator at the moment. I just have a pattern here that I want to grab. It's a little bit more, it's gonna add a little style to our branding design here. So I've copied that. I'm gonna go back to my InDesign layout. Make sure you're on your background or whatever background you're working on for this specific layer. Command V, and I'm gonna, as you can see, I'm gonna zoom out there because that is quite large. So I'm going to scale it down by holding Shift and Command and scaling that down, and then moving it up here. And this is going to conform to whatever size you make it on the page. So as you can see there, I've made it that specific size. If I click W to get my guides back on, you can see it's on the page now. I'm going to click that pattern there, the Art Deco pattern. And let's just use overlay maybe, or let's multiply that. Yeah, that's, what did I use up here? Yeah, multiply looks good. And then if you wanted to make it like, so it's not so intense, maybe 75 or so. Okay, so you can still see the pattern there, okay? And now I'm gonna go back and lock that layer. All right. I do want to show you now how to add these charts and graphics. So let's just jump back to my Illustrator. I can close this one up now. As you can see here, I've already made one chart. That's for just a pie graph. So let's go ahead and make one right now. And then add a 3D effect to it, as you saw in my InDesign version. So in your Illustrator toolbar, you should have something that's called a column graph tool. You can click J on your keyboard as a shortcut. I'm going to click and hold it, and let's select pie graph tool. Go anywhere on your artboard, left click, drag, and just draw out a pie graph that will show up. And then I'm going to start typing in this field here, and you'll see that it'll update the figures in these cells. So let's just say, you can put in any number here if you want. I've got 15, 30, 45. And then if it was a comparison chart, you could start putting in other figures down below. But I'm just going to leave it for one figure for now. There's a little check mark here. If you hit apply, you can see that your numbers have now applied to this chart. Once you've done that, you can go ahead and click get out of it, so just X out. And so this is a pie chart now. I can move it around. There's just an extra step I want to do. I want to create kind of this effect where it's kind of, we create a hole in between it. Okay, so before we go to that step, I'm just going to use this example for my color swatches. So I'm going to click that, my eyedropper tool, click that specific pink or purple. So use your direct selection tool, click on the pie, go to your eyedropper tool, and then click on the color. You would have to do these through your swatches here. You see I've created some global swatches here, just in case I ever wanted to change any of these colors. So I got that. Click my eyedropper. And one more here. Eyedropper. There we go. Just gonna move that off to the side again. I keep it as a reference just in case I ever need one, just so you don't have to go through this process ever again. So before I put draw a circle inside and then knock it out, there's an extra step you have to take. So I'm gonna select it, go up to Object and Ungroup. You're gonna get this little prompt saying this selection contains a graph. Basically what that means is you can no longer change the information in this graph. So make sure that before you do this step, have your information intact. Hit yes. I'm gonna go back to my rectangle tool, but I'm gonna click, hold, and we want the ellipse. I'm gonna put my cursor in the center. With your smart guides, it'll show you where the center point is. Hold Shift and Option and drag out a circle, and something like that works. Okay, now it's gonna have a magenta fill or whatever last color you had saved. With your selection tool, click, drag, select all of it. Go to your shape builder tool, click that, hold down Option or Alt on your keyboard, and then knock out. You can do them individually or as a whole, just kind of make a circle like that. So you have that effect here. Now there's an extra step I want to take to give this a little bit more depth. Let's select that and let's go up to Effect, 3D, Extrude, and Bevel. Before you start adjusting any of these settings, make sure you have your preview box. I'm going to bring this over here. Make sure you have preview box selected there. As you can see, my shape or my graph here, my pie chart, it's already changed. You can see it's 3D. I have the ability now to rotate this this box on a different axis point to your liking of how you want this positioned. Okay, so I can have it pointing upwards, inwards, outwards. It's up to you. You can change these numbers automatically, manually, depending on what you want, but I always suggest kind of altering this box. And then you can also play with the perspective. Okay, so let's just say something like that. I have 57-degree perspective, and then I've altered the box to that position. Once you're happy, just hit OK, and there's your pie chart. Okay, and you can see it's a lot more in depth than just something as regular as this. This is fine too, but if you want something with a little bit more depth, then you would create a 3D effect on it. So I'm going to click that. There's a couple ways of bringing this over to InDesign. You can just highlight it, Command C, go back to your InDesign project. Make sure you're working on your icons layer, and then Command V, and there it is. Okay, so essentially, when I do that, I could still go into these segments you see here with my direct selection tool, and I could change the color. If I did create a picture box and then imported the AI file, it imports it as an image, and you can't change the colors. What you could do is go back to your Illustrator file, update the colors, save the file, and then it would update in your InDesign file. So it's all preference based on what you like. So I'm just going to click that and then scale it down and then move it to where you want. Okay. Make another copy and put it over here. Okay, so you can see that that's kind of the effect that I was going for. What I did down here is I created a box here, Command C, just gonna edit, paste in place. Okay, I'm gonna copy this stuff over, stuff that I've just made up for this fictional company. Click here, edit, paste in place. try that again. Maybe I'll just grab all of this together. Come over here, edit, paste in place. There we go. Okay, so that gives me an idea of how much space I'm working with up here. And I'm just gonna shrink, let's do both of them together. Collect them both and then Shift Command and then scale it down by just dragging inwards or outwards. Okay, and then with my guides on, I would obviously use my guides as points to snap these two, maybe an edge, and then put my type on this side, much like I did up here. Okay, and then these things up here, I basically just created, you know, a circular picture box, imported different images of the CEOs, and this over here, basically what I've done here is I created 3 lines using the line tool. So I'll just show you how to do that maybe. Let's do that. I'm gonna shift and drag and hold. Zoom in a bit. And then I'm gonna just create another copy there. It's not cooperating with me. Let's give it a, let's make it black for now. No fill. Okay, you see I've made 3 lines there. I'm just gonna bring in one of them. Collect all 3, and then remember these distribution tools that I have up here. Make sure that you're aligned to the selection, and then use these distribution tools. Oh man, I made a lot of lines there. Let's try that again. Okay, collect them and use these tools here. Okay, so you know they're spaced out in a good way. I'm gonna highlight them, and then instead of a solid line, I think I use straight, something like that. And then I sent that behind these pictures just to give it a little bit extra creativity to it, okay? So if I grab this stuff here, Command C, our leaders, let's grab our leaders. Okay, so we have that in. This is another type of graph that I've also created in Illustrator using the same concept. Okay, instead of a pie graph, it's the column graph tool. Okay, so it's the same concept, only instead of a pie graph, you're creating actually a line graph. Okay, so test that out and see how it works for you. And then when it comes to this stuff here, I'm just going to copy. And what I've done here is I collected both these together, and with my alignment tools, I align the top edges here. And then down below, if I was to create the same thing, but notice how I'm snapping this to these guides next to the gutter here, and then I would just collect these and do the bottom edges. Okay, so one snap to the top edge, one snap to the bottom edge. And again, basically I've created little circles and matched the colors to that, and then played up the ages that these could represent, okay? So in a nutshell, that's how you would design a corporate brochure. Try out these graphs in Illustrator and charts, because you can have a lot of fun with them, play with different colors, and see what you come up with. Again, if you are interested in doing this specific layout with this content, just get in touch with me, and I will provide the copy. I'll provide the artwork, and all you would have to do is come up with the graphics and then come up with your own layout. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot and take care.